Let's
Yeah.
talk about a new franchise.
A new
We're
franchise.
starting a new franchise, baby.
Yeah.
Ah.
Splitting it in half this week. Out
Oh,
with the old, in with the new.
I feel like I've just like a weight is off my shoulders.
Yeah, it does feel like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a medallion with a ruby in it has been taken off
Stop.
your
I don't even want to
shoulders.
make any more references.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the thing. All right.
All right. Men in Black, Henry.
I know you're excited.
All right. This was based on a
Oh,
little
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We forgot.
superhero count. Go ahead.
Yeah, I spend way too much time on this shit to not do it. Otherwise, I'd gladly skip it. All right. Here we go. All righty. There are four. Melissa Roxburgh.
From
Uh,
Manifest.
Yeah, well, she plays Betty Seaver in a show called Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, I've probably seen her on that show. Didn't know it was her because it was before Manifest.
There you go. Brendan Fletcher was in an episode of Smallville playing Parasite.
That's a major villain.
I know. And in Arrow, he plays Star City Slayer.
Oh, that was like a little storyline for a while. I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, he's had some
Serial
stuff.
killer or something, or what?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right. Yeah. The girl in the beginning of Leprechaun who's running through the woods is named Catherine. The actress is Amelie Ulurup, and she was in an episode of Smallville as well. Interestingly enough, her character in Smallville was named Catherine, and the character in Leprechaun Origins was named Catherine.
Was that interesting?
No, number four.
Henry, did they shoot Leprechaun Origins in Canada? That's an important question I
I-
have for you.
Yeah, because the director's from Vancouver.
There you
so-
go. There you go.
There's a lot of just Canadian connections going on.
That's right. Smallville cast. That's a big tell for me.
Yeah, and lastly, but definitely not leastly, Gary Chalk, who played Hamish, did tons of voice work, too many to name, but of the live action things, he was also in Arrow, playing General J.G. Walker. He was in the Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
With David Hasselhoff?
Yeah, playing Dum Dum Dugan.
Oh, that sounds good, man. That's a major character.
Yeah, yeah. And in You and I, our favorite superhero movie of all time, Watchmen by Z. Snyder, he played a military general.
Now, Henry, I went through some of this cast, and I remember noticing someone played our favorite villain, Firefly, in something. So you missed that.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Firefly, the Batman villain?
Yeah. I think on an episode of Arrow or something.
Oh, my bad. Wasn't popular enough to earn a Wikipedia page.
Well,
Let's put it
maybe you
that
should
way.
look on IMDb. Okay.
May-
All right. So let's talk about it.
Yeah,
Men
let's
in-
jump 17 years into the past from Leprechaun Origins to 1997.
MIB. Okay, so MIB comes to us July 2nd, 1997. All right? This is 4th of July weekend. You'll recall at this point, Will Smith was Mr. 4th of July.
He sure was.
Do you remember
right?
that was a thing?
I don't. I don't remember
I think
that.
we talked about it on the Independence Day episode because
Probably.
Independence Day came out 4th of July, obviously. It was like a huge hit. And then the very next year, they put out Men in Black, and it was a huge hit. And so it started to become a thing that Hollywood talked about where it was like, well, we'll put out a Will Smith movie every 4th of July. It'll be a big hit. He's Mr. 4th of July.
Okay.
Except the next year after Men in Black,
Uh-oh.
they put out Wild Wild West.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, and that tanked pretty bad. Barry Sonnenfeld directed, by the way.
which will rank.
Yeah. So a budget of $90 million, box office of $589.4 million, Henry. It was the number 2 movie of 1997, only behind Titanic.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to imagine you saw this as a kid in theaters.
I will tell you that I saw this in theaters. I did. The opening weekend. I loved this movie. I bought it on VHS when it came out. It had a foil cover. Thank you very much.
Nice.
All right. There was a Men in Black cartoon that I watched every episode of.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
With no Will Smith or Tommy Lee Jones. They had like sound alikes, but Shaloub was involved. And
Sure.
I believe D'Onofrio was involved.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So some of the lesser, the supporting cast did it.
Yeah.
So this was a movie that was gestating for a while, Henry. It was first developed in the early 90s based on a comic book by Malibu Comics, which is like a real low-rent comic book label that does not exist anymore. And they were going to put it out in 1992. That's when they started working on it, okay? Barry Sonnenfeld got his start, Henry, as a cinematographer and was about to make the jump to his directorial debut. So I am a big fan of Barry Sonnenfeld as a cinematographer.
That's a different beast, yes.
He's an incredibly good cinematographer. He did the first couple. He did Blood Simple and Raising Arizona for the Coens.
Yeah,
and then later did Miller's Crossing.
And Misery, which is a beautiful looking movie.
Yeah, he worked with Rob Reiner on Misery and When Harry Met Sally. He worked with Danny DeVito on Throw Mama from the Train, and he did Big, which I love.
Yeah, no, he has got a very good track record.
He's got an incredible eye, this guy.
Yeah,
He compared a lot to Tim Burton's style. So he comes into directing, and his first movie is The Addams Family, which was a big hit.
Yeah.
And so he's coming up. He wants to do a follow-up to The Addams Family, and he was deciding between Get Shorty and Men in Black.
Okay.
All right. So he chooses Get Shorty. 20th Century Fox, I believe, is who put this out. Did not know what to do with Men in Black. They were thinking about giving it to this fella Les Mayfield.
Okay.
And he was hot off the time. He had made a little movie that I happen to love called Encino Man.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, but then they ultimately decide they want Barry Sonnenfeld so bad, they're just going to wait for him to make Get Shorty.
Right.
And then he'll do this. And it turned out to work out okay for them.
Yeah, it did.
In the process of casting this baby, they offered Tommy Lee Jones's part K to Clint Eastwood, who turned it down.
All right.
Pretty easy to see that. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones is a very viable backup for Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I didn't know that, though. That's interesting.
Much weirder.
I don't think that would have worked.
Nor would I. He's just not funny.
Right.
So the Will Smith character, weirdly, was originally offered to Chris O'Donnell.
I knew it would be a white guy.
And Chris O'Donnell turned it down, I think because he felt it was too similar to, like, Batman. What a fucking idiot. What a loser.
Oh, boy.
That poor fucking schmuck.
Yeah, well, yeah. He had bigger fish to fry, man. He still was, You
mean the Penguin?
Yeah, he was... nice. He was still waiting for, that spin-off to Batman and Robin.
Sure, yeah. So also considered at the height of Friends was David Schwimmer.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
What a confusing time.
Yeah. But Will Smith got the role. That seemed to work out. Everything fell into place for this movie. Um, they were looking for the Vincent D'Onofrio role as the main villain, and it was offered to John Turturro, which you can kind of imagine, right?
Yeah.
And supposedly, according to Wikipedia and IMDb, Bruce Campbell was offered the part and turned it down. And I disbelieve this theory because of the theory that it's a part that Bruce Campbell turned down.
That's pretty hard to believe.
Like,
yeah,
what
I
are you
understand.
talking about?
Right. Incorrect information
Yeah.
on IMDb.
So, I followed Sonnenfeld's career for a long time. I like him as a director. I want to rank his movies. I know you haven't seen quite as much as I have.
I realized that I did see one that I didn't think I had, but it's been a very long time for all of them. But
Okay.
I did rank them anyway. I have 5.
And I'll say it's not on my list, but my number one favorite thing Barry Sonnenfeld ever did, I didn't include it because it's a TV show, was the pilot episode of Pushing Daisies, which is one of the great pilots ever made.
Okay.
All right. So I have seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Barry Sonnenfeld films.
All right.
I dropped off at a certain point. He started making some shit. I mean, like, I've never seen RV, that thing he did with Robin Williams, and then he made that fucking talking cat movie where Kevin Spacey's a talking cat.
Oh my, I don't remember that.
It's called 9 Lives. I think it's one of these movies where, like, this guy works too much and doesn't have enough time for his family, so he turned into a cat and learned what family time truly is.
Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah.
Woo.
Amazing.
All right. I can say right off the bat from looking at the movie as a director, I am not a fan. And never have been.
Looking at Men in Black as a movie?
No. I just said in general, I have 5 movies on my list, and I'm only confident in saying that I like one of them.
All right, I like this guy. And I'll say, like, there's 3 movies at least on this list that I would give 1 out of 5 to.
Okay, that's good to hear.
But the ones I like, I really like.
All right.
All right, so my number
You're
8.
gonna start.
My number 8. And I've also, by the way, never seen Men in Black 3.
Me neither.
So I'll be watching that for the first time for the podcast next week.
Okay.
So my number 8 is Wild Wild West. That
Never
is
saw it.
a real garbage fest. It's kind of fun in hindsight just because it's so insane and terrible.
Right.
But whatever, it's terrible. My number 7 is Men in Black 2, which I remember really hating. My number 6 is kind of an interesting movie he made, like a farce comedy with like a huge cast. It was called Big Trouble, and it got postponed after 9/11 because the third act is all about trying to find a bomb in an airport.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
And that movie like has its moments, but fucking Tim Allen's in it, so I'm out.
Right. Obviously.
Yeah. My number 5 is a movie he did with what's it called? With Michael J. Fox, called For Love or Money.
I remember when that came out.
Yeah.
I'll join in here.
All right, what's your number 5?
I remember seeing this when I was a kid at probably the right age you should be when you see this and like it, and I loathed it. And I'm going to stick by that opinion. I'll never watch it again except for this show. Addams Family Values.
Well, listen, there's no accounting for taste, Henry. If you were a kid who had some kind of shitty sensibility that disallowed you from enjoying Addams Family Values, there's nothing I can do about that.
I might have just been an astute film goer.
Well, so was I, and I love that movie. That's high on my list.
There you go.
All right, my number 4, Henry, is Get Shorty.
Yeah, my number 4 is The Addams Family.
Hey, speaking of Get Shorty, you want to hear something fascinating that I just revealed? I fucking
The words shall appear in your brain.
I realized this the other day.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So Barry Sonnenfeld directs the first 3 Men in Black movies. He directed Get Shorty.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a new Men in Black movie coming out in June. We're going to cover
Yeah.
it when it comes out. It's called Men in Black
Yeah.
International. Do you know who directed that?
Barry Sonnenfeld?
No, he did not come back for this one.
I have no idea.
Our new director is F. Gary Gray. Do you want to know another movie he directed?
I know a bunch of movies he directed.
Yeah,
but go
but
ahead.
how about this? Be Cool, the sequel to Get
Oh
Shorty.
my god!
What is this, F. Gary Gray? He sequelizes fucking Barry Sonnenfeld movies.
Oh wow, is that weird?
It is weird. All right. Anyway, he's riding high right now because he did Fate of the Furious and Straight Outta Compton, so he's a hit maker. That's why they've
There
got
you
him
go.
on this. But never forget,
Yeah.
he directed Be Cool.
Right. Right.
So, what's your number 4?
Addams Family.
Addams Family, right. My number 3 is Men in Black.
My number 3 is Get Shorty.
My number 2 is Addams Family Values.
Jeez. My number 2 is Men in Black 2.
Men in Black 2. You remember liking that movie?
No, I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't like anything I've said so far. Yeah.
All right. And my
Not one.
Okay, my number
And
1.
I remember hold on. Hold it. I remember when Get Shorty came out, and it was like a big fucking deal. And I was not on that train.
Well, it was sort of marketed weirdly as like it's the spiritual sequel to Pulp Fiction.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's nothing of the sort, and it's really stupid. And John Travolta is abominable. And that was so popular, and I'd never
I feel like
liked.
that's a totally decent movie. I haven't seen it in many years, so we should do it for the podcast.
Yeah, well, I've never seen Be Cool, and I'd really like to.
Let's do Be Cool is like unwatchable. Let's do fucking after we're done with Men in Black, let's do Get Shorty, and then let's do Addams Family Values. We'll just only do Barry Sonnenfeld from now on.
That sounds like an off-air argument after the show. All right, so what's the number 1 Barry Sonnenfeld movie for Daniel?
The Addams Family.
Wow. Okay. And mine is Men in Black.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Men in Black, Henry. Well, actually, first, do you want to quickly do our 1997 list?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
This was recent, I think. Number 10, Gattaca.
Oh, God, right. My number 10 is, we've done this so many times. Let's do it quick. My number 10 is Chasing Amy.
My number 9 is Boogie Nights.
My number 9 is Schizopolis.
Number 8, Waiting for Guffman.
Number 8, Good Will Hunting. It's too low. I'm being you.
Number 7, Copland.
My number 7's Hard. Yeah. Let's be each other. Okay, fine.
Okay, all right, good.
My number 7's Hard 8. Way too low.
Okay. My number 6 is Chasing Amy. Wow, you like that better than I did. Okay.
My number 6 is In the Company of Men. Great choice. Not on my list. Maybe should be. Okay, next time.
My number 5 is Jackie Brown.
Okay.
It's probably higher on mine. I mean, that's not really a good choice, but it should be higher.
Okay. My number 5 is Starship Troopers. Oh. Oof. Really? All right.
My number 4 is L.A. Confidential. Oh, really? L.A. Confidential? Really? Kevin Spacey, you like that whole thing? Okay. Yeah, that's great. Good cast. Great. That's a great set.
But I love that movie. My number 4 is Jackie Brown.
Number 3, Good Will Hunting.
My number 3 is Deconstructing Harry. Great.
My number 2 is The Game. Ugh, of course. But how is that not your number 1, Henry? How is it not?
I would argue I would have made a joke about your tongue being inside of his butthole or something, but sure. My number 2 is Waiting for Guffman. Funny, good. Not on my list, but good.
It's number 8 on my list.
Oh, okay.
The number 1 movie of 1997 is deconstructing Harry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's good. No, it's good, Woody Allen. I mean, it's very good. It's
Yeah.
very good. It's hard to argue that. It's hard to argue.
I mean, it's easy to argue that when it's the year Boogie Nights came out, but all right.
Felt like we were doing almost a cross pollination of me doing me and then me doing you. I don't know. It was
I had a good time.
I think we should do that again.
Okay, fine.
The next time we do a list, top 10,
Next time we do one, we've done like 1,000 times like that.
Yeah.
All right. The Men in Black starts with some Tim Burton style credits. Real long lettering filling the screen.
Yeah, I haven't seen this movie in a long time. That was very amusing.
Yeah, I was like, what, is fucking Jack Skellington going to show up?
Yeah, yeah.
And by the way, Danny Elfman does the score. As was Danny Elfman fucking score ever. It's just like this brassy.
Yeah, it totally is. I mean, it's not a bad score, but it's really like it is the most self-plagiaristic.
Well, it's funny because like I like the score because it's so Danny Elfman, but it kind of doesn't match the movie that well. It's almost like we asked Danny Elfman to do the score, and I gotta tell you, he handed in a Danny Elfman score.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I mean,
it's like he didn't watch the movie. He just was like composed this.
Right. Let's put some horns here and some fluttering dragonfly strings here. Yeah. It's not like you watch Batman or Beetlejuice and you're like, ooh, who the hell is this guy? It's like this is just.
Or Batman Returns, his best score.
Where were you in the plot description?
Okay, so there's that dragonfly. We're following that for a while. By the way, that does not look good. It doesn't hold up.
To the point where I actually thought it was an alien.
Well, I did too, but it's not. It's just a bug.
It's just a ugly dragonfly.
Yeah, it looks like garbage. Looks like a cartoon. And it hits a windshield, and then it's a vehicle carrying Mexican immigrants.
A caravan.
Yeah. And they get stopped by the Men in Black, and it's Tommy Lee Jones and an older fella who's his partner. Right. And they know that one of the Mexican immigrants is in fact
a terrorist. You
mean a rapist?
Yeah, I was thinking of another movie. Yeah.
They're coming for our women.
Some of them are good people.
Yeah, but not very fine people. I won't go that far.
No.
Okay. Sorry, guys. So.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So anyway, the dragonfly splatters. So they I like Tommy Lee Jones with this guy. I like that Tommy Lee Jones is like the young buck in this duo.
Exactly. That's very funny. Him and his Stan Lee counterpart.
He does seem like that. Oh my god, it's so funny when they're like done with that situation, and then they have that heart to heart where the guy's like, "You ever look at them, the stars?" It's just there's so many of them up there. You ever take the time, check it out? All them twinkling little lights above you, up in the cosmos of space time.
Boy, I don't remember it being that Jeez. Yeah, you caught some stuff I didn't catch. All right. Yeah.
So then Kay neuralizes him, so he's got to find a new partner.
That's right.
So, what's kind of fun? I like the movie structurally. You know what? We didn't bring up the writer, who's Ed Solomon. But what I wanted to say was that he structures it where we get extended intros to our three main characters all in a row. Where, like, first we meet Tommy Lee Jones, then we meet Will Smith, and then we meet Vincent D'Onofrio as the villain.
Yeah, you're right.
And they all have their own little flavor. Because, like, Tommy Lee Jones is, like, this, like, thoughtful section of the movie. I mean, we get that fun, like he blows up a bug and it turns into goop and whatever. And then, but Will Smith comes in and he's a force of nature. It's a big action chase sequence, and he's got a lot of one-liners, raining black people, and he and I gotta tell you,
57 line, yeah.
With the which line?
Just that line, just so nice. It's so dated.
It was. I read that it was a Will Smith ad lib.
I'm not surprised.
Nor am I. But I got to tell you, Will Smith made me laugh a lot in this thing.
Yeah, you know what? I remember I first saw this movie on video cassette on a long bus ride, and one of them college trip, type things. And
Sure.
I had never seen it, and that's completely irrelevant to what I'm going to say, by the way. But I have never. I think I've said this on the show. I've never been a big Will Smith fan. I've just always found him to be very cocky and self-aware.
He's a lot.
He's a lot to take, but he's very good in this role, and as is Tommy Lee Jones. Though I think that they really have a very funny chemistry.
They do,
I mean,
and Tommy Lee
Tommy
Jones.
makes a lot.
They end the movie with Tommy Lee Jones taking his memory away, and then Will Smith gets a new partner. And I don't feel like story-wise, I remember it being a good decision to bring Tommy Lee Jones back for the second one, but you can really see why they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean he's really funny. I mean, some of his throwaway lines are just funnier than like some of the bigger set piece lines type things. Like
I agree. You know what line made me laugh out loud, which I didn't even remember, was
right.
he's chasing down that alien who has he blinks two sets of eyelids.
Yeah.
And then he's like backing away on like the top
Yeah.
of the Guggenheim, and he's gonna like jump to his death.
So Will Smith line we're talking about here.
Yeah, and Will Smith says something like, "Hey, don't jump, come down. We'll get you an eye exam." That made me laugh. What a great thing to say. It's a little bit gallows humor. We're talking about like a suicide case
No,
here.
it was funny. I like that whole Guggenheim actually set piece. They could have just had that through a park, and then they used it pretty well. And I like the line when Tommy Lee Jones is in D'Onofrio's like farm in the digging through dirt, and and Will Smith is questioning him about the neuralizer, and he's like, "So when am I gonna get like one of them neural things?" And like almost before he finishes the line, Tommy Lee Jones is just like, "When you grow up."
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Made me laugh. Apparently not you.
No, it was funny at the time. I was into it.
I thought it was funny. When you grow up, it's very much fugitive Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, for sure. So this fella, Ed Solomon, I just want to talk about him. He got to start writing for TV, wrote a bunch for Gary Shandling, his 80s show.
Okay.
He wrote the two Bill and Ted movies.
Oh, yeah, new one's coming out.
Uh-huh. He wrote a bunch in the 90s. I will say that he is a credited writer on one of my favorite movies, Henry, Super Mario Brothers.
Oh.
You know
okay.
I love it.
So he's good at movies where things are jumping and flying around.
Yeah, and he wrote for Gary Shandling a lot. He also wrote that movie, What Planet Are You From?
Oh, Lord.
And then he floated around a lot. He wrote the first Charlie's Angels movie. And he had some tanks, but he's a guy that always comes back. Like, he wrote this, like, Eddie Murphy movie called Imagine that made, like, no money. But then he wrote the fucking Now You See Me movies, which are, like, huge hits.
Oh, yeah. I saw the first one.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I did not. And
No.
then he worked on that thing Mosaic with Soderbergh.
Oh, yeah. Well, what was that written for?
It was
Which
like
can-
it was an app, and it was like a choose your own adventure kind of a
Right.
thing. And then
Right.
I think they aired a version of it on HBO.
Sort of a Bandersnatch situation going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have enjoyed Bandersnatch more if I didn't have to write and direct it.
Oh, good one. I
Thank
agree.
you. I've actually been saving that joke in my head since December.
Well,
Yeah.
very worthwhile.
And I kept forgetting to say it because I watched it or attempted to and then gave up. Well, I'm not sure if I watched it or finished it or completed it. I don't know.
Would you
But,
get
yeah.
neuralized?
I might as well have been. It was way too much effort. 4.5 hours in, I figured I'd seen enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Really? 4.5 hours?
No, I didn't last that long,
Oh,
but
okay.
I did completely lose track of time, and I'm to the point where I realized I'm done. This just keeps going. That's how that movie works. I mean, if you know anything about it, it just keeps going, and it's not. It's like exhausting. Yeah. Anyway,
Exhausting was that last word you got out. So we meet Vincent D'Onofrio briefly. He's a farmer, and he's abusing his wife.
I thought it was interesting that we don't get to see Vincent D'Onofrio be that character. You just hear him.
Well,
and
that was a very interesting choice, I thought.
Yeah.
By Sonnenfeld. He placed a static camera outside of the farmhouse, and we get to hear them arguing until a spaceship comes in. It's almost like that long take of Woody Allen and Marshall Brickman walking in Annie Hall, except instead of Woody Allen and Marshall Brickman, it's a spaceship.
I think you mean Woody Allen and Tony Roberts, but yeah.
Is that dude's name?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Brickman, he wrote it, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking of. Okay. So, he turns into a big bug guy. And D'Onofrio's method, so he really goes for it with this thing.
He really does, yeah.
And I thought he was kind of great.
I did too. He's my MVP.
I considered it. He's certainly a good choice for it. I loved him so much that I kind of wish the storyline didn't end with him kind of going away and then the bug just being a cartoon.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I had a tough time with the MVP because I wanted to give it to Tommy Lee, and because it's so rare that I like Will Smith, I kind of wanted to give it to him.
I hear you.
Yeah, but Vincent really he commits.
He really fucking does. Supposedly he wore like leg braces so that he wouldn't be able to like bend his legs when he walked.
Jesus.
Yeah. This is fucking Men in Black. It's
that's
like
what I was
this
thinking.
silly fucking movie, and he's playing the villain who, doesn't have all that much screen time, but he just fucking goes for it.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, boy, he really is a strange guy, but whatever.
So an exterminator shows up to kill all the cockroaches, but they're his family, so he's not into that. By the way, who called this exterminator? It's showing up just like, I heard there's bugs here. I'm going to kill them. Henry?
His transformation.
What?
I was assuming that D'Onofrio called him before his transformation into the alien, no?
Okay, well, I'll take your word for it, Henry. Seems like a leap to me, but all right.
Really? You think just this guy just drives around and... Okay.
I think it's very convenient that this fella drives in and has an extermination truck that is the exact same size it takes to hold this fella's UFO.
Zap him.
Zap him. Yeah. So he drives around there. He drives over to New York City, which houses a lot of the aliens because they can blend in and shit.
You know what else it houses?
What?
The Twin Towers.
Oh, my God. The Twin Towers are all over this fucking movie.
Yeah, they were almost going to be my LVP.
Henry, there's that one sequence where Will Smith is helping this alien mother give birth along the freeway, and it's like this silly scene, and it's kind of well done, and tentacles come out and slap Will Smith around, and just the entire scene, just the specter of the Twin Towers in the background. It is a bummer.
Yeah, I know. At least they didn't digitally erase it. That would have probably been worse.
Well, Lucas hasn't gotten his hands on this baby.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I'll tell you, at the end of that, he gives birth to a squid creature.
Yeah.
You know who played the squid?
Somebody played the squid?
Yeah.
Warwick Davis.
No.
Vern Troyer.
Yes.
Get out of here, really?
I swear to God, the fucking little squid baby is Vern Troyer.
Oh, my God. I thought it was just a digital thing going on.
No, there's up until that last bit where with the bug floating around, there's a lot of genuine makeup in this movie. Rick Baker worked very hard on this thing.
All right.
And so that little squid baby is Vern Troyer, little Vern.
R.I.P.
R.I. to the P. He got snubbed at the in memoriam, Henry, at the Oscars.
Did he really?
Yeah, I was waiting out
Wait.
for him.
Jeez.
I wanted to see Vern show up.
Oh boy. Well,
He might have fought Hornswoggle at some point.
I hope so. I hope there's footage of that.
I think there might be.
I want Leprechaun and Squid Baby to fight.
That would be dynamite.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Tommy Lee meets Will Smith because Will Smith he suspects there's aliens because the guy he chased was alien-like. Tommy Lee talks to him, takes him to Tony Shalhoub to get some info. Shalhoub gets his head blown off by Tommy Lee. A lot of just indiscriminate shooting in this movie, which I kind of liked. Like shit,
Yeah.
It just explodes into slime over and
It's
over
true.
again.
Yeah, it's like violent without the blood. They're able to do it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I liked the another scene made me laugh. I remember this making me laugh 20 years ago, and it's still not quite as much, but it still made me laugh. Is when Will Smith does go for the job, and the Marines and all that, and they can't write on the paper. I don't know why.
I think it's so fucking clever to end that scene
clever.
with him dragging that table along, and it makes a really loud noise on the
very
ground.
funny.
I thought it was great. Listen, the Will Smith stuff is just dynamite. Like this whole setup, I think is great. I think the actual storyline of the bug is less interesting to me, if not for Vincent D'Onofrio's performance. But
Yeah.
the setup is really dynamite. I loved the scene with Tommy Lee and Will Smith like drinking, which by the way totally reminded me of the scene in the first Mission Impossible where the fucking the ceiling, the fish tank collapses on them.
That really
Yeah,
weird.
the setup was so similar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
And then he goes to the building, which is a real building in Brooklyn, I believe, or maybe in Manhattan. And
There was a lot of on-site stuff here for sure.
yeah, and he has that whole thing. I thought the table thing was very funny. The bit where he shoots the little girl in the head and explains why is really funny. And
Yeah.
and the writing honestly is just okay. It's a lot of Will Smith's performance.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. The delivery is sort of what makes it. I can imagine Chris O'Donnell delivering that dialogue, and it
Oh
would
my
not-
God, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's Will Smith. Like I'm telling you, this like 2-year stretch of Independence Day to Men in Black, like he just was never that great again.
Well, I think that it's like because in this era, as I recall, living through it and all that, as you did too. But it was post Fresh Prince, but it was pre like I'm the fucking man.
Yeah.
He was just kind of like still he was a movie star.
He was an up and comer, man.
Yeah, so he didn't have the hubris that he then developed. I
Men in
think.
Black is really like his first lead because like
yeah, Independence Day is kind of shared. billing with a lot of other-
Independence Day is a fucking ensemble movie. This is like
Yeah.
him and Tommy Lee Jones, and I think Tommy Lee Jones might even be credited before him.
He is. Yeah. He
Remember
definitely-
remember the posters where it's Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones.
No, I did not.
Yeah, it doesn't say their full names. It's just Mr. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
Glad you pointed that out, though.
no problem, bro. But so then what happens next? He gets the job. He's the guy. He's going to be the new Man in Black. They neuralize the other fellas, and he gets to meet all the people. There's some fun stuff. That ball thing is like, normally I hate destruction like that, but I thought Will Smith's reaction shots were pretty funny.
What about, you haven't mentioned Rip Torn yet.
Well, I was about to. He meets Rip Torn, and I think Rip Torn's perfect.
He's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's my second favorite Rip Torn appearance in a movie.
What's your favorite?
Defending Your Life.
That's a good movie, yeah.
Very, very funny in that. Very funny in that movie. Yeah.
Rip Torn is great. Is he in Clueless?
I don't remember.
I think that might be my favorite.
He's in a lot of shit.
Well,
man.
he's my favorite's Larry Sanders Show, really.
Oh, how could I forget that? Jesus Christ. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That's number one.
He's not
Yeah,
Clueless.
yeah,
I'm thinking of somebody else. But
Rick
yeah, he's
Martin.
incredible in Larry Sanders Show.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
one of the great TV performances ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but I mean, like every performance on that show is like one of the great TV performances
Yeah,
ever.
But he was always my favorite character, funniest character.
He's so fun. He's a force of goddamn nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's funny, and so he offers Will Smith the the part I was gonna say, but the job, and I happen to think this was very funny, where he goes to the park. We see him in the park looking out on the ocean, of course, looking out upon the Twin Towers
Yeah,
and all
right,
their
right.
might. And
Yeah.
it's a real soul-searching time lapse. He's
Yeah,
staring,
it is.
he's staring out into the ocean, and
Yeah.
and we see the sun set, and then it's the next morning. He's thought about it all night, Henry.
All night staring into the wild, wild west and never moved. Yeah.
It reminded me of that sequence in Seinfeld where Jerry is trying to choose between the girl he's dating and the voice he does for her belly button.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Hello. Anyway, so he decides to take the job, and then it's full steam ahead. Like you said, it's a lot of jokes like that when you grow up, kid. And
Grow up.
and
Yeah.
you know, he gets the little cricket gun. And
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very original movie. It's very funny. It's kind of a one of a kind thing, you know.
Honestly, I thought this wasn't going to hold up. And I really did. I was expecting to be between like a 2 and a 3 on this baby. And I have not yet decided. I'm between a 3.
I haven't either.
I'm between a 3 and a 4.
So am I.
Okay.
That's actually what I wrote. Yeah, a 3 or 4. I don't know yet, but I mean, I'm leaning for 4.
But one
Because-
thing I appreciate about this, Henry, is like a lot of people talk shit about like big blockbuster movies that they don't have like an original feel to them. And like I go back and look at movies of the 80s, like you know, I mean obviously Back to the Future is a masterpiece, but look at like lesser remembered movies from that era, like
Yeah.
you know, but that are still like these like nostalgic like movies that everyone loves, like
RoboCop
or no, more like for younger, like Goonies or Inner Space or something.
Right, right.
And
yeah.
they're like movies that people like really have a fondness for. And I'll say, like, those are movies I fucking adore, and children of the 80s will always love them. And I really do think like Men in Black is one of the closest that the 90s came to really, like, this is a very 90s movie. It feels like it was made in 1997, but it's also weirdly transcends that and is an original thing that I think like you could show to kids like for like generations, and
I totally agree with you. I think it's a very good assessment of the comparison to the 80s. And I was a child of the 80s, but I think this is better than the two movies that you mentioned. I never liked Goonies, and Inner Space I remember liking back in the time, but Men in Black is...
But you know what I mean, right? Like
absolutely.
movies like
yeah.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit or something like that.
Yes, absolutely. And this one is this sticks for the time. I mean, like we're reviewing it 22 years later, and it really doesn't. I mean, there's only a few jokes in there that are a little dated, but they don't really stick out too much.
No,
you know?
I mean, I watched this movie like, I mean, I hadn't watched this since probably since VHS, Henry.
Sure.
And
sure.
I'm watching this movie. I was laughing out loud, like regularly.
Yeah, me too. I thought, and Linda Fiorentino is great. Love her.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit. Linda Fiorentino is an actress I have a lot of time for. I think she's kind of great. And I think she works really well as a female lead in this movie. She oddly has good chemistry with Will Smith.
Yeah.
And Will Smith hitting on her, which could be kind of creepy, I found very funny. And it's partly because Linda Fiorentino is so fucking strong that anything Will Smith Right,
Yeah.
but anything Will Smith says to her, she's just gonna be like, "You're a fucking idiot." I like the scene where she's like trying to point under the table at the alien, and he thinks like she's pointing to her vagina. Like, could be the most hackneyed bullshit thing in the
You're
world, but
right.
it kind of
You're right.
works.
And I think that she's good too because it's a weird casting choice. Because up until this, she was known primarily for like The Last Seduction and possibly I think Jade, and and so now she gets like this comedic role, and it for some weird reason. I mean, it's like casting this beautiful seductress in like a really nerdy loner role who works in a morgue, and it like for all intents and purposes, it should not work. She should be of all the people cast, she should be the one you're like, oh, why didn't they get like Drew Barrymore or something?
And look,
It works. Yeah.
she had her shot at being a big star right around this point, and I don't know what happened, but supposedly, but she's difficult to work with.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's why they didn't bring her back for Men in Black 2. And supposedly even Kevin Smith has gone on record. And Kevin Smith loves working with fucking everybody. Like after Jersey Girl, he was like, Jennifer Lopez, what a joy to have on set. But like he did Dogma with Linda Fiorentino and supposedly like did not care for the experience.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You got to be hard to work with if you're working on the same movie set as Vincent D'Onofrio, and she's the one that they make a comment about.
Fair. Well, I mean, she's a woman. Like my impulse is honestly always to be like, people, there was such a tendency in Hollywood for such a long time. If like a woman was demanding, call her a bitch.
Right.
Whereas like men don't get that same stigma attached to them. But there are like a few cases in Hollywood history where it's just like it's coming from too many directions for me to put it. So like I think if anyone in Hollywood as a woman was genuinely difficult to work with, we're probably talking Fiorentino and Heigl.
Yeah, Heigl had she had a long list of yeah.
Anyway, I love Linda Fiorentino in this movie and in general.
Totally agreed. Yeah.
So you want to wrap up?
I'm ready.
Oh, I will say the movie should just end where it ends. They do that little epilogue bit where it like, and it's like, well, like how fucking fascinating, where it's like it zooms out and reveals that Earth is in a marble that's being played on a bigger world by an alien, and it's like it first of all, it looks like garbage. It's really badly animated, and I will say that I do not care for that ending, and I think it's I don't know. It's like I fucking hate it. It's like in fucking Full Frontal, which I think works in that movie. But this is Men in Black, where you like full pull out at the end of the movie, and it's like the whole thing's been a movie.
God help me. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It would have been fine to see them drive off together, and that would have been it.
Well, yeah, right. It ends with Will Smith and Linda Fiorentino together, and Tommy Lee Jones gets neuralized, and that's a sweet moment. Tommy Lee Jones is kind of great in that moment.
Yeah.
And and we'll see where we pick up next time. I don't fully remember.
I don't remember either. I mean, but I like we did forget the sequence where, of course, it's pretty famous, I think, at this point, and I think continues into the second one, where we see like a bunch of human beings on a screen that are aliens, like
right?
Michael
Jackson.
That's in the next one.
No, Michael Jackson. No, Henry. Michael Jackson's on the screen in this one, and then I think actually appears in the next one.
Oh, I didn't see him because I remember he has some really bad, uncomfortable dialogue.
Yep.
Be the second one. Okay.
Yeah, child rapist. So,
but my LVP is actually on that screen. So
who's that?
Newt Gingrich.
Yeah, that's right. Newt Gingrich does show up.
He's a weak link here in the movie. Yeah, I didn't want to see him.
I'm fine with that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. LVP.
All right.
Who's your LVP?
Well, I'm gonna go with Will Smith as my MVP first of all,
Fair enough.
and LVP. I honestly hadn't thought that much about it.
Everybody does their job well, you know.
Yeah,
It's hard.
it's not a super big cast all told, in terms of people who actually matter in the movie. I don't know. I even like the supporting shit. I like Tony Shalhoub. I like the dog that talks.
The dog that's getting shook. A lot of the reaction shots are very funny in this movie. Like the people staring at him shaking a dog
Yeah.
is potentially dangerous.
He's shaking
ground.
the dog really hard, by the way.
Oh,
like, I don't
yeah,
know how they got that shot.
Oh my god, but it's funny. Just like what they're seeing, it's like
Yeah.
So no LVP for you, huh?
I must have an LVP, man. I mean, I don't love every fucking frame of this movie. I mean, honestly, my LVP is some of the animation. Like,
Yeah.
the CGI in this movie sucks. Anytime something's practical, it looks good, and anytime there's CGI, it blows.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, you're right. I like the little alien inside the guy's head. I don't know that looked
That was
good.
good, but I think that looked practical to me.
Probably a puppet.
Yeah.
Something like. Yeah.
But I mean, like the alien at the beginning looks like shit. The alien when he's like running towards the camera before he gets exploded.
Yeah.
The bug at the end looks like trash. I mean, a lot of that stuff just did not work for me.
All right, so whoever did the special effects, you're gonna go for that.
I believe it is George Lucas's company.
Oh,
What do you call that company?
Lucasfilm. isn't it?
No. But his company, his effects.
Oh,
company.
Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah, ILM. They're my LVP.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna go with final star rating on this. You know what? Why not? I'm going 4 stars.
I'm gonna go 4 also. I'll just do it.
It's a lot of fun.
Hey, Henry, before we continue, this movie was nominated for some Oscars.
Fuck.
You know, I like forgot to go into that, and some Golden Globes.
Really?
Well, 1 Golden Globe and a couple Oscars.
Well, what would you like to do first?
The Oscars.
Of course you do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, do you want to do Golden Globes?
No. Too late now. Just gotta find that file here. That file.
You don't need to do the theme.
Yeah. All right. Let's not. We'll have the Golden Globes thing.
Okay, the Oscars, Henry. It was nominated for 3 Oscars. It won an Oscar for Best Makeup, Rick Baker.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was nominated for art direction, and it lost to Titanic. And also, by the way, did you know, like before the 2000s, I didn't remember this, that they had 2 separate score categories for dramas and comedies at the Oscars?
No, wait a minute.
Listen,
What?
yep, according to my my research, Men in Black was nominated for Best Comedy Score at the Oscars and lost to The Full Monty.
I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember that.
I
being
don't
a
either.
thing.
But like Titanic won Best Dramatic Score.
Yeah, James Horner.
Horner, yeah.
I didn't. Okay. Wow. I'm
Yeah.
gonna look at that. Okay.
Feel free. And also it was so that's its Oscars. Hit me with the Golden Globes theme.
All right, here we go.
It's the GGs, the Golden Globes. It's the Hollywood Foreign Press, mostly French.
Okay. That was weird. Okay.
Why?
I don't know. It came out kind of weird. And I can
Oh.
hear your space heater, I believe.
Cedar.
Okay, so this movie was nominated, Henry, for Best Comedy of the Year.
There you go.
Yeah. But of course it lost a real world beater that year, Henry, As Good as It Gets.
World beater, as good as it gets, and the Full Monty. I remember being really, really hyped.
Huge. And I would argue, and by the way, I don't hate either one of those movies. I would argue Men in Black's better than both of them.
I would argue the same thing, and I would also argue that As Good as It Gets is funnier than the Full Monty. I never liked the Full Monty.
I would say I prefer the Full Monty to As Good as It Gets.
As good as it gets because of Jack's scenes. I like him. That's it.
I know.
Flawed movie. Not
Okay.
that- yeah, but anyway. All right.
You have a superhero count on this baby?
Fuck yeah. Yeah. All right. Da, 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 da. All right.
Well, I off the top of my head, Tommy Lee Jones was in Captain America: The First Avenger. Is that right?
Yep. Playing Colonel Phillips. Good call.
I will say that Will Smith was.
Wait, not done with TLJ.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, and of course, Two-Face in Batman Forever.
Right.
Yep. He really got Batman with that great trick or treat scam, and Will Smith was Deadshot in Suicide
Right.
Squad.
Got it. Moving on.
Yeah, which is worse than Aquaman?
Suicide Squad's worse than Aquaman.
I would argue yes.
All right.
Okay. Who else do we have?
We have Vincent D'Onofrio.
Oh, the Kingpin, of course, in the Daredevil TV show.
And that's it.
Some
for all these
genuine
guys.
superheroes in this cast.
Oh, yeah. And we got 3 more.
Okay.
Tony Shalhoub was the voice of Splinter in the 2014 and its follow-up theatrical release of Teenage Mutant Ninja
How
Turtles.
about that? He's also in my favorite superhero show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
There you go. The guy who played the INS agent at the border, Frederick Laney. This was a weird
I
pull.
thought he was kind of funny, actually.
He was funny. I agree. He was. Yeah. He took care of those rapists. He was in The Dark Knight Rises as the stock exchange security chief. I guess in that sequence, Bane enters and beats the shit out of everybody on the stock exchange.
Take control.
There you go. Love it.
Thanks.
And Reggie, the guy whose wife gives the squid baby its life, played by an actor named Patrick.
He was kind of
Breen.
funny, too.
Patrick Breen. Yeah, he was in. I included this for you. He played a character named Friendly Fire in The Tick.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
There you
All
go.
right, Hank, that's great stuff. So next week, we're gonna... And by the way, keep us posted, everyone, if Leprechaun Returns becomes available anywhere. Like, for less than, like, $15.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, by the way, next week we'll be covering Men in Blacks 2 and 3, both by Barry Sonnenfeld. We'll get to talk about Laura Flynn Boyle and Josh Brolin, all the greats. And we're going to rank Will Smith movies.
Will Smith rankings.
Will
That'll-
Smith rankings.
I
That'll
have
be
no
real
idea.
fun.
Yeah, I have no idea how much I've seen.
I've
his
definitely
stuff.
seen, like, way more than you.
Probably.
Although I haven't seen a Will Smith movie in, like, over 10 years, except for Suicide Squad.
Well, okay. Yeah.